I will talk about Power BI. Power BI is a web-based or Azure-based solution where we can publish our reports and dashboards like SSRS reports. When we build a reports, we publish the reports onto the SSRS server, and we were able to use, or we can browse the reports through a web browser, through internet, right? Similarly, Power BI is another web-based application where we can upload our or publish our reports and scorecards, and business can use them using the browser. So Power BI provides, compared to SSRS, Power BI provides more features and more flexibility and more visualizations. So more flexibility in the sense you can actually refresh the reports on a scheduled basis from your on-premise sources. That means your Cube or SQL server can reside on on-premise server, but a Power BI report can automatically refresh that report and save it onto the cloud, so that when users browse the report, they can see refreshed or latest information. And it gives more visualizations compared to SSRS or reporting services or Excel, so that you can present the data in more meaningful fashion. So we'll discuss high level what are the components involved in Power BI and how to approach in building a Power BI dashboard or Power BI scorecards. So to start with, to build a Power BI reports, the first thing we need is the Power BI desktop. Power BI desktop is a desktop version of building the reports. That means it's a UI tool where, like similar to reporting services, for reporting services we use Visual Studio to build the report. Similarly, Power BI desktop gives us the option to build a report locally and then publish the reports. So to get to the Power BI desktop or to build the Power BI reports, we need Power BI desktop. To get the Power BI desktop, we can download it online. So from powerbi.microsoft.com /desktop, we can download the desktop version. So once you download the desktop version, you can open from programs and Power BI desktop. So the Power BI desktop for this version looks like this. So it's again a editor window where you can build a report. This is all the report building area, and we have bunch of visualizations available. The options are available at the right side, and then fields is a place where we can pick the fields needed for our building the report, and there are some properties here for the reports. So these are the areas within the Power BI desktop, the main area where we build the reports, and the fields area where we can pick what are the fields should be shown in the report, and what kind of visualizations we need is under visualization section. And then some of the properties like filters and all we can apply at this section. So the first step in building, or let's say there are to build a report within a Power BI, there are 3 steps to be followed. Number 1 is you need to connect to the sources. Connect to the sources. Power BI supports a lot of sources, so including SQL, Excel, say text files also. So connect to the source, then build the relationships between objects. That means if there are 5-6 different tables within the source, we can build a relationship between those tables. Once the relationships are built, we can build the reports. So the reports is using these visualizations and the data tables. Once the report is built, we need to publish the reports onto Azure Power BI portal, which is portal.office.com. So the first step is to get the data or to connect to the data sources and get the data. So for that, we go to get data tab here on the toolbar, get data, and there are these are the default sources it shows, but Power BI supports many more sources. If I click on more, we can see all different kinds of sources it can support. It can even get the data from Teradata system, Sybase, MySQL. It can get the data from Azure as well, in HD Insights, SharePoints, Hadoop files, HDFS system, Facebook, Google Analytics, SAP, Salesforce. So there are a lot of sources the Power BI supports, and they are keep adding new sources to this Power BI sources list. So for our example, let's say I want to build a report from my SQL database. So I select the SQL database and I will say connect. When I say connect, it will ask me the server name and the database details. So let's say I will enter my server name, SQL server name, click OK. Let's see, under advanced options you have the SQL statement as well. So let's say if you have already built a SQL query, we can use it here. So not only just getting all the tables and building relationships, we can also use pre-created queries. So for now I want to import the tables and build the relationships. Click OK just with the server name. Now it connects to my local server and it will ask me the database name. So here it shows all the databases that are available within my server. So in the databases list, I want to use AdventureWorks and I want to pick some tables for my reporting. So the tables I want to pick are dim date to get the year information. So I select dim date, and then I want fact internet sales to report the sales amounts, and maybe I want dim product category, product subcategory, and dim sales territory to show the geographical information. So these are the tables I needed for my report. So I select the tables, click load. So when I say load, it is loading the data. It loads the data into my Power BI desktop. So once the data is loaded, those tables are available within the Power BI desktop. At that moment, I can build the relationships between the tables. Okay, so the tables are loaded. If I go to the data tab here, you see three different tabs here. One is the relationships tab, the second one is data tab, and the reports tab. Relationship tab is the place where we can build the relationships between the tables, and the data tab is where we can see the data. Reports tab is where we build the reports. So if I want to see the relationships, I can click on the relationship tab where I can see the relationship between the objects or the tables. So since my SQL database has the primary key and foreign key relationships between the tables, it has picked up those relationships and showing it here. If let's say my tables did not have the relationship, I can create a new relationship between the tables. So once the relationships are built, Power BI or this desktop, Power BI desktop knows how to retrieve the data or how to retrieve the columns from each table. So after these relationships are built, I can access any column and then I can derive any metric. Let's say I want to get some sales amount by year, it already knows that year comes from this calendar year dim date table, and how the dim date table is mapped to factory internet sales, that it already knows through these relationships. So, once I get the relationships, if I need to check the data, I can check the data here. If I need to add new columns, we can add it here, like a tabular model. So, when we build a tabular model, we do the same thing. If we need a new column, we can add a new column by selecting a new column option here. If we go to modeling, we can say new column. New column gives us the flexibility or the option to create a new column within the data set here. So, see here it created a new column. We can define a formula for it to derive the value into the column. Next, we have the reports. So, once the relationships are built, we can directly, if there is no need to create new columns, we can directly go to the reports. So, reports is the place where we actually build the reports. As I was saying, we have visualizations at the right side section, and we see the fields here. The fields are coming from all the tables that we loaded into the PowerBI desktop. So, we can pick any of these tables columns to build the reports, and we can use any visualization. So, let us say for my example here, for our exercise, I want to build a report that gives sales by, let us say, calendar year. So, I want to pick a pie chart, and once I pick the pie chart, it gives me options here. Options to fill this report. What is the details, values, what are the values I want to use for the pie chart and all. So, I need to pick appropriate columns to fill this chart. So, for the values, I want to pick sales amounts. So, I will go to the factory internet sales and I will pick sales amount. I will drag it onto the values. So, as soon as I drag the values into here, the report layout is changed, because this is right now showing all the sales amount. Next, I want to see the legend, or maybe I will say details by calendar year. Calendar year. So, that is a pie chart. This is the pie chart for the sales amount by calendar year. Now, I have one more option for legend. So, let us say I pick product category as my legend. So, it is basically right now it is mixed up, because pie chart is not the right place for 3 different values. So, for now, for this pie chart I will leave it as sales amount by calendar year. That is the chart for me. And also, if you look at the bottom here, it shows page 1. So, this is the report name. So, if you want to change the report, we can edit the report name here. So, I can go to my properties, or I can just double click on that and change the report. Like I will say sales by or internet sales report. So, that is my report name. So, the same option is available somewhere here. I will let you know when I see that. Okay, so the report information is available here. So if we are inside the chart or inside this visualization, you will see the properties of that visualization, like data, details, labels, on, title. What is the title? Maybe I will say sales amount by calendar year. So that is my title, and font color. Little bit. So like this we can change the properties. Okay, and if you come out of this visualization and click on the main area, then if you go to here in the format section, we can see the page information where we can edit, and that will be reflected into the left side bottom page, the name of the page. We can define page size as well as page background. If you want to have a different background, we can set the background here. Okay, so that is a pie chart. Now let's say I want to go with a graph, clustered bar chart, or let's see a clustered bar chart, because we want to use 3 different metrics in my report. So I want to create a clustered bar chart for similar information. Sales amount is my fact internet sales value, sales amount into the values, and my calendar year into access, calendar year into access, and then my legend will be product category. Let's say product category is my legend. And similarly, there is something like filters here. So if you look at this one, there is page level filter and report level filter. Page level filter is a filter value that is applied to all the visualizations in this page. So let's say you want to show this report only for a specific year. Instead of having all the years, or maybe you want to show the data only for a specific geography. So in that case, instead of applying the filter to all these reports, all these visualizations, you can apply the filter to the whole page. Similarly, there is another thing called report level filter. Report level filter is applying the filter to the whole report. So let's say I want to show this report only for USA. So what I can do is, I can take sales, go to sales territory and pick sales territory country, and I can do page level filter, and the value I can choose a specific value, United States. Now what is happening? All the data within this report is changed to this particular country, United States. Like that we can apply a common filter across all the visualizations. And then we have one more thing most frequently used is the card. Card means it's again a visualization that just keeps showing one value. So and you can auto refresh this one as needed. So let's say I want to show the total sales in that, sales amount. For the card, you can have only one value. There are no filters or anything. So if you look at this one, the filter is applied to all the visualizations, the country filter. Let's say if I take out the filter, it shows it as 29 million. As soon as I apply United States, the number changes to 9 million. That means the particular filter is applied to all the visualizations. So this is how we can build the report with all the visualizations available. And similarly, her table also, not only just the graphs, you can also show the values. So for example, I want to show the order quantity. So in the visualizations we are showing sales amount, and in the graph or in the table I want to show the order quantity. Order quantity by calendar year. Not only you can have one value, you can drop multiple columns into the filters or any property. So I want to show calendar year, order quantity, and maybe sales territory. So when I said just order quantity, it was showing only one record, the first record within year 2011. But to show the aggregation, I had to choose some here. So these are the aggregations. When you click on the drop down of the order quantity column, I see all the aggregations. So I pick the appropriate aggregation. So like this we can build a table as well. So here if you see this one, all the data is showing only for United States because I applied a page level filter. Let's say if I apply a filter on UK, it shows the data for only UK. Okay. So once this report is built, we can save this one to our desktop. So when we are saving this one to our desktop, it is our copy. So I will say sales by year. The extension is PBIX. Okay, I am not sure, it's a PowerBI extension or something. So that is building a basic report. The features we have here is we can build new measures, new column or new measure. It's the concept is same as tabular model. New column is a column you built to the data here as a new column. New measure is a measure that you built out of existing columns within the data set. And then manage relationships, we saw it. If you want to build the relation between existing objects, you can build it. Edit query is the option where if you are using a pre-created queries, you can edit those queries. And enter data. So in some scenarios you may want to enter some manual ad hoc content there. Let's say for year numbers, instead of getting from a dim date, if you want to enter year numbers manually, you can enter. And modeling is similar to tabular model, where you can build new measures, new columns and all, and you can define roles as well. You can define roles and define the permissions on each report. So once your report is done, you save it, and next step is we need to publish this report to the Office portal where users can access the reports. So to publish the report, we need to have a subscription account on the Office portal. The website for that one is portal.office.com. So this is my Power BI portal. So let's say if I go to office.com, portal.office.com and I need to create the account. So we need to create the account, and once we create the account we will get this portal page. Here we can go to the Power BI, click on Power BI, which will open our Power BI portal. So once the Power BI portal is done or open, that means we have access to that portal. Here we have my workspace. My workspace is the place where we can create dashboards, or you can publish your reports too. So let's say I want to create a new dashboard for my reports. These are the old ones I had. I want to create a new dashboard. Sales by year. That is my dashboard name. So I created an empty dashboard. And once I have the dashboard, I need to publish my reports. So I have built the reports and I will publish this report using the publish tab here. So I have the publish tab. Click on publish. So once you click on the publish, it will ask you to enter your credentials if you have not already entered. So once you enter the credentials, it will publish the reports. So now it is publishing to Power BI. It is not asking for credentials because I already entered. Okay, publishing is complete. It shows success here, and there is a link to open sales by year, PBX and Power BI. So I just say got it, and I will go to the portal. I will try to refresh this one. So when I refresh this one, under reports, I see my new report, sales by year. So this is the report I built just now. So once I build the report, I need to pin this visualizations onto the dashboard. Okay, once we build the report, we need to pin this. That means we need to locate or place these controls onto the dashboard. Right now my dashboard sales by year is an empty dashboard. So I need to place the visualizations or controls onto the dashboard from the report. So I will go to my report, and here if you see, there is a pin button. So the pin button, pin visual, it says. Click on that one to pin a control or visualization onto a dashboard. So when we click on this one, it shows it asks where to pin that control. So I will say existing dashboard, and I will select the dashboard I needed. So sales by year is my dashboard where I want to place this control. Say pin. So when I say that, my particular that particular control will end up in the dashboard. Similarly, I need to do for all the controls that I need to place into the dashboard. So like this, we can build all the visualizations in one report and then distribute them across the dashboards. If let's say we are building reports for different user groups, one user group is interested in sales by year, another user group is interested in orders quantity or orders by year and geography. So in that case, we can build a report with all the visualizations needed, both sales amount and order quantities, and then we can place those or pin those controls onto individual dashboards. One dashboard will be for sales, one dashboard will be for orders. So we can pin to appropriate dashboards. So that is the advantage of separating reports from the dashboard, and dashboard can have more other information than just the reports. Let us say a link to a website, a link to company portal, those kind of things we can provide, or maybe some kind of images, logos, all those things we can provide in the dashboard, and apart from that you can have the controls. So there are other properties as well here. You can tile details, you can unpin all these things. You can place the controls wherever we need. So like this we can build a Power BI dashboard. So now users can access the dashboard using the browser. And the other thing within the Power BI is refreshing the data. So when we want to refresh the data, right now we publish the reports to the dashboards, or we publish the we published reports to Power BI. Now the second thing we need to worry about is how to refresh the data. So to refresh the data there are two things. One is personal gateway and the second one is enterprise gateway. A personal gateway is a gateway that is basically used for your personal usage. That means if you are not in a enterprise solution, you want to have a personal gateway that refreshes your source onto the dashboard. Basically a personal gateway enables Power BI to talk to your source. That is the main purpose of personal gateway. Personal gateway is used as a media to media for Power BI, the Power BI to talk to the local server, because the data is in the local machine, right. Power BI is on the cloud. So Power BI to refresh the report, the Power BI needs to access the data in your local machine. So how will that happen? Through the gateway. A gateway enables authentication or authentication mechanism for Power BI to talk to the local server. Similarly, enterprise gateway is for enterprise architecture. So when I say enterprise architecture, in case of personal gateway, your computer or the computer where we install the personal gateway should be alive all the time for Power BI to talk to, right. Power BI needs to talk to the source through the personal gateway. So wherever we install the personal gateway, that particular machine should be alive. That means it cannot go to sleep or we cannot shut down. So that's why we go with, if you have enterprise solution where we want to keep this gateway alive or active all the time, we go with enterprise gateway. In case of enterprise gateway, we pick enterprise server and install the gateway onto that machine and use that gateway as a communication mechanism. Okay. So to do that we need to install personal gateway. So I am not showing that into this session, but if you go to the portal you will see the information on personal gateway to install the personal gateway. So this page gives the differences between personal gateway, on-premises data gateway. Okay, so import data and setups schedule refresh is possible both from personal gateway, and run as an app in the personal gateway you can do it. And an on-premises data gateway serves multiple users with access control per data source. That means multiple users having access to different sources you can that is not supported in personal gateway. In personal gateway the gateway should have access to the all one user account should have access to the all the data under needed for that report. Whereas in on-premise or enterprise gateway you don't need to have one account access to all the sources. You can have multiple accounts having access to the source system. source databases. So like this we have multiple differences, couple of differences between personal gateway and the on-premises data gateway, also known as enterprise. So once you download the gateway, all we need to do is configure that one. When we configure the gateway, we will be setting up a user account that should be used to authenticate against the source. So Power BI will use personal gateway, and personal gateway will use a specific account we used within the setup to talk to the SQL source. And one thing is, when we have personal gateway, the personal gateway will keep running all the time as long as the machine is on. So once we have the personal gateway installed, we need to set up this Power BI to refresh on a schedule basis, right. We have deployed, we publish this dashboards or reports to the Power BI to the cloud, and our data is on premise. On premise means on a local machine, and we need to refresh this report. Whenever our on premise data is refreshed, we want to refresh the Power BI report, then only users can see the latest information, right. Because right now these are two disconnected systems. The data is, our warehouse is on the on premise, whereas the dashboard is on the cloud. And the other thing is, the difference between SSRS report and Power BI is, in case of SSRS reports, when user is accessing the report, we are refreshing the data. That means when user is accessing the report, a connection is made to the SQL server and it gets the data. Whereas in Power BI, the data is already loaded. Like when we are loading, when we are building the report, the data is already loaded here. That means the data what you see here is the stale data. So whenever we are refreshing the report, we are not connecting to the source. That means we are not connecting to the on-premise system, right. Because the other reason why it is not supported is, within the Power BI, like a tabular model, we are creating new columns, we are creating new measures, we are creating relationships and all. So which is very difficult to do using a live connection. That means whenever user is browsing this dashboard, if I need to go to the SQL source, get the data, read all the data and build this model, it will be very time consuming and resource intensive. So that's why Power BI has the option where we can set up a scheduled refresh. That means once the data is refreshed on our warehouse system, we can set up Power BI to refresh the data. Let us say our data gets refreshed every day at 10 p.m. So we can set up the Power BI dashboard to refresh at, let us say, 10:30 p.m. So that the next day when users come and browse the data, they see the latest information. So to do that, we need to go to the data source, click on edit or open menu, and there is option for schedule refresh, or you have the other option called refresh now. Refresh now will refresh the data when we click this one. That means it's on demand refresh. When I click on refresh, when I click on this one, the data gets refreshed. That means the data or the connection is made to the server and the data is pulled into the Power BI and it needs to build all these graphs and all, which is more time consuming. When we schedule the refresh, the data on depending on that schedule, the data gets pulled from the source and it will refresh the data offline, so that users, when users see the data, they see quick results. So I will say schedule refresh, and here I can set up the refresh schedule, but it is not allowing me because to refresh from on premise data source I need to have this Power BI Pro, which is a purchased option. Okay. So since I don't have Power BI Pro, I cannot schedule it, but the only thing you will see here is like any other scheduling, reporting services scheduling, or any other SQL agent scheduling, where you will set up what is the time and date when you want to refresh the data. So once you set up that, and based on the schedule, the Power BI will pull the data from the source, get the data into the dashboards, and it refreshes all the dashboards. All these graphs and all the numbers, tables, everything gets refreshed on a scheduled basis. So as we see in Power BI, we have 3 steps to build the reports. Number 1 is get the data, number 2 is build the relationships, and number 3 is build the reports. If let us say we want to build some additional columns and additional measures, we can do that here. And we need to build the report, and once the report is built, we publish the report. And when we publish the reports, the reports get published onto the Power BI portal. And at that stage, we need to build the dashboards. So we create a dashboard and we pin all the controls from the reports onto the required dashboard, and that is deploying a Power BI dashboard. Once the dashboard is deployed, we need to think about how to refresh. As we see, there are 2 options to refresh. One is on demand refresh, where as soon as we click on the button, data gets refreshed from the source. The other option is scheduled refresh. In case of scheduled refresh, the data gets refreshed based on the schedule. And then there is a third option for security. You can implement security by using that security button. This is called row level security. Again, it is not your regular security. In case of row level security, you are basically securing the data at the row level. That means United States related users can see only United States data. UK related users can see only UK related data. That is possible using dashboards here. But in real time scenario, that option, that row level security option is useful when we are dealing with SQL source, because we are not implementing row level security at the source level. So we are implementing it at the dashboard level. But if we go to analysis services, multidimensional model or tabular model, you can implement row level security at the cube level itself. You don't need to implement in the Power BI level. So when you have the row level security implemented at the cube level in the multidimensional model or tabular model, that particular security is automatically applied in the Power BI. So at that stage, you don't need to worry about row level security setting up in the Power BI. So if you don't have that security in the relational in the underlying data, underlying system, which are multidimensional, tabular or SQL, if you don't have the row level security implemented at the source level, you will implement at the dashboard level. So there are 2 places you can implement the security. Okay. So that is about Power BI, and as I was saying, Power BI has the option. Power BI has more advantages, not option. It has more advantages than reporting services, where Power BI provides all these features, like you have many more visualizations than the reporting services. The second thing is, in reporting services, the data always needs to be refreshed whenever user is querying the data, whereas in Power BI you can enable scheduled refresh, so that users do not see that latency. So when we enable scheduled refresh, data is getting refreshed on its intervals on the schedule. So other times, whenever user is accessing the report, user sees fast performing reports. Then the other option is the row level security. You can implement row level security so that only appropriate users can see their appropriate corresponding data. and that is about Power BI. The one thing we haven't seen in this one is the gateway setup, personal gateway or enterprise gateway. So I am not going through personal gateway because it is straightforward. All we need to do is download the gateway and set up the gateway using our credentials, the credentials that can be used to access the source. Okay, so that is about Power BI.